Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the video lowdown, the power of video in a vodcast. We're now on episode 7. Been doing this for 7 weeks, man. I can't believe it. We've had some fantastic guests. We've got another one for you today. Now, this is really interesting topic, and I think a lot of people at the moment are going to be looking to do something like this during the lockdown, and while they've got a little bit more time to create additional content. Today on the episode, I've got a guy and longtime friend called Giorgio Silberberg. He's the owner of F9 Marketing, and he specialises in helping his clients position themselves as an expert in their industry. He does work within a particular niche industry, which I'll let him tell you about. But I think today's episode is going to be jam-packed full of information and nuggets that you guys can take away to implement in your own business about how you can start to get on that journey and kind of develop your expert profile and start putting yourself in that way. So without further ado, let's crack on. If you are watching today, do leave some questions and comments as the stream goes on. We will get to those at the end if you've got any questions for Giorgio or myself. And also, if you are enjoying these episodes and the interviews, please do subscribe to the channel, leave some comments and likes. It just helps the channel get a wider reach, which is ultimately my ultimate goal. So let's welcome Giorgio. How you doing, mate?
Hi, Jamie. Good morning to you.
Good morning to you, mate. Thank you for joining me today.
I think it's 26 degrees. I've got a fan going in the background, 2 windows open. I think we're doing okay,
That is, can't complain about 26. I think it's probably 26 out my window, but I'm in quite a nice cool area. So I think I can kind of rock the shirt and not be too sweaty about it at the minute. Listen, thanks so much for joining me today. I'm really excited to talk to you about what you do and how you help your clients, kind of work towards becoming an expert. As we know, it's not an overnight success sort of thing. So talk to me a little bit about your background. How did you get into the kind of business growth / authority marketing area? I'd be really interested to hear.
Yeah, good question. So, well, I've been in management for 20 plus years, holding mid and C-level management positions. And obviously, as you go through management, there are occasions where you get made redundant. That's if you do a good job, usually you should be either promoted or made redundant at some point. And in one of my last posts, I was made redundant, and this one was a particularly stressful redundancy, and they can be sometimes because I've been there a long time, and obviously, you sort of get very attached to people you work with as well. Now, the reason I explain this a little bit is you'll understand how I got into both the business growth consulting and into the particular industry I'm in. So what happened is I developed a sciatica whilst at work, which is like pulling your back. It puts pressure on the nerve, on the sciatic nerve, causing inflammation, which then cuts the movement in your legs, so it makes you very stiff. You feel about 30 years older. At that particular time, my nervous system was quite overloaded, obviously because of the stress and the anxiety. The shock, if you like, of going through redundancy. And I thought I was going to get a heart attack, literally. It was like, that intense. Wow. So at that time, I remembered one of my chiropractic acquaintances whom I'd done some strategic alliances with in the past. So we brought them in to, oversee the staff, do posture checks with members of the team. And I went to see him, so he did a full assessment. He took X-rays, did a proper postural analysis and palpation and mobility tests of the spine and the joints. And he started treating me. In about 4 sessions, I was sciatica free. So that was already like a big, massive. I say massive because my dad had passed 2 years of his life, the whole summer, and we lived in Spain. So if this is 26 degrees in Spain, you're talking, 30 odd degrees indoors.
Yeah.
And we had an aircon, but he'd spent that 2 summers in bed because of sciatica. It can be that bad. Eventually he had a surgery and he got through it. But in 4 sessions, I was through it. I had no more sciatica. Now, we then carried on, and he showed me positive pictures of where I was. My head was very forward tilted, which I wasn't aware of. I never noticed it. And my wife said she had noticed it. It was literally like 5 inches forward, which is a fair amount. I mean, you really
That's a
look
big
like
amount, isn't it? Yeah.
big amount, big amount. And from what I gathered, it didn't take that long. It took 5.5 years to develop, which was the time I worked, for that company. So in about 3 months, we carried on, with the treatment. In about 3 months, my posture was fully optimized, as good as it's ever been. Obviously, when that happens, you're not only in peak condition as well physically, but also your nervous system is firing on all cylinders. So your brain body communication is at an optimal level, which
Mm.
gives you higher levels of vitality, but also cognition. There's a lot of things that started to improve. My concentration, my stress levels went right down. My concentration improved, my focus, my cognition, so my IQ, if you like. I
Mm.
could feel myself thinking much sharper, holding my attention for longer. And I felt invigorated. I felt inspired. And I thought, well, now it's time to pursue my dream. Always wanted to be a consultant. I just had to
Yep.
decide what area I was going to go into. So I went into the business growth consulting arena. And obviously did what everybody has to do. You train, you invest the time to
Yeah. Yep.
learn your
Hmm.
became part of the IBD group, which is one of the largest group of network of independent business consultants in the UK. And then, continued training and really niche down into marketing and digital marketing. Now, because I started off taking clients from different areas, so fellow consultants, startups, people with established companies. I was going all over the place because when you start out, you want to do whatever you can. You want to work
Yeah, man, I've
no
been
matter
there.
what.
I hear you. Yep.
But obviously, that chiropractic industry was there all the time, so I got caught an interest in it. I started doing getting involved and doing direct sales for chiropractic clinics. And that involves, talking to the public, doing posture analysis on members of the public or inside of companies, and then persuading those people to, come into the clinic to do a full assessment and basically become a client.
Mm.
And I did that for a good while. I managed to bring in close to 1,400 new clients myself. I
Wow.
measured 5,532 people in that time, which I've looked it up. Apparently, that's enough to fill the Titanic twice. And obviously, you spend quite a bit of time with each one. So you spend at least 10, 50 minutes with each person, depending on who you do. So obviously, you get a lot of experience. So you get to know. I kind of sometimes people think I'm a chiropractor because you learn to think like one.
Mm.
And because you get trained by chiropractors, obviously it does rub off. So you do pick up a lot of knowledge along the way. So it was only logical then to transition fully into that industry and become, the business growth consultant for chiropractors. Since obviously I already had an affinity and a love for the industry.
Of course. Yeah.
So I developed something called the F9 Profit Growth Roadmap, the F9 Marketing Profit Growth Roadmap, and that's a marketing system which has got 3 levels to it and 9 steps in total. And that's a roadmap to help, chiropractors take them from 0 to hero, literally.
Okay.
So it's the acquisition stage, then leveraging existing assets, and then really scaling at the top end. And that's it. So that's been my journey. That's how I got into it.
That's fantastic. So almost your personal involvement in the chiropractic industry by having sciatica and bad posture, this is like a little thank you to the industry, really, isn't it? Like you're saying, cheers, guys. I'm gonna now it's my turn. I'm gonna return that favour. I'm gonna help you out with my knowledge and stuff. So I think that's a
Absolutely.
really nice, yeah, really nice, fantastic story. Your unfortunate experience of being made redundant and it being a particularly painful, and I think now more than ever particularly is a very resonant message and a very resonant experience for a lot of people. So I think what you did, and you saw an opportunity. I think hopefully there's people out there, there might even be people watching this, that have been in that unfortunate situation that it's bad. At first it can feel terrible when you leave something that you love, but then you learn to overcome that. You learn to see a new opportunity there, and it then really it's like a blank canvas in front of you. And although some people are scared of that, I think if you can overcome that and really look at that blank canvas and say, well, what actually is it I really want to do and contribute and give and offer? And I think you saw that opportunity there after 5 years of what sounded like hell. You managed to take that opportunity and develop it into something really cool. So the chiropractic industry is like very, very niche, isn't it? It's is it? I mean, I don't really know anything about the industry. Is it a small industry? Is it massive? Is there like how many chiropractors per people? Like
There's
how, I
about
don't know. How
well,
is it a big industry?
just over 3,000 chiropractors in the UK today. Now there
How
is
many?
more
Sorry.
people trained, over 3,000, so about
Okay.
3,200. I mean, this is I haven't checked this for a little while, so this was last year, so probably about the 3,300 ish, by now, because new people have graduated, obviously.
Mm,
Um, but then, obviously, in terms of clinics, that number obviously is a lot lower. So you may have, you know, between 500 and 600 clinics, within the UK, and some of those
mm,
there's different setups. You got the dedicated chiropractic clinic, then you may have somebody who's operating out of maybe a gym or some other outlet where they have a little room where they practice. But then you
yeah.
have the full chiropractic clinic, which is really the clients that I work with, where they have the X-ray machine on site, they got all the equipment, they probably got several chiropractors working there, and a team of CAs or chiropractic assistants to man up the
Mm,
front desk and field the calls, etc. So it is a little bit niche. Obviously, within the physical therapies, you got different ones. You got physiotherapy, kinesiology, chiropractic, osteopathy. Then you massage, and there's then different blends, if you like, of each one. Um, Chiropractic, I suppose, about 70% of the population know a little bit about it, but most
mm,
people don't really know what chiropractic is. So even though they think it's bone cracking, and to an extent,
yeah.
obviously that's what you see on the video, so it's understandable. When you get adjusted, there is a cavitation or popping of the joints, and then nitrogen gas releases making that sound. So that's what people see, but really there's much more happening. So what the chiropractor is doing is realigning the body, positioning the joints in their correct, healthy anatomical range, thereby optimizing the nervous system, so the brain-body communication, which in turn boosts the vitality. So what's really happening there is you're restoring things to healthy range, and then your body takes over and does the healing. And that's the power
Mm.
behind chiropractic. So it's really, it can be very
God,
effective. Oh,
it
all
also sounds
kinds.
like people right now could do with a chiropractor as well. I think you've got it all
Yes,
today.
especially right now, because the stress weakens the nervous system. It also puts
Mm,
strain on the spine. A lot of people have been sitting at a desk for long hours,
yeah.
either working from home or surfing the web to see what they're going to do. Maybe looking for jobs because they're not sure if they're going to be, you know, going back to work after the furlough, or they're going to be laid off.
Yeah.
Nobody knows really.
Yeah.
And therefore long hours. So that forward tilting of the head, pressure on the neck. So yes, people would do very well to go and see a chiropractor this time, because, like myself, there is where there's this type of crisis, there's massive opportunity, as you said as well. So if you
Mm,
embrace it and you go with it, and you trust that something positive come out of it, then you
yeah.
can do amazingly. But I do think you need a bit of support, because if your nervous system is all stressed out, stress blocks your thinking. It sort of clouds your judgment. It doesn't make for good decision making. So I think it's
Mm,
good to probably go see maybe a masseur or a chiropractor, so he can give you some adjustments, release that tension, so you're in a better position to then go forward. Really.
yeah. And I'm looking at you now, and you've got like the perfect symmetry. Like your back, your straight. I'm looking at myself, and I'm like a dog. I've got I notice I have my head to like one side a little bit, and I'm like really conscious of it, thinking, right, I've got to like straight back and shoulders, right? Yep, let's set up right. But it's true though what you're saying. Like it's things you don't notice, and I think that
You don't know.
that's what can get you.
Yeah, if you
Um,
have, for example, the wrong size pillow, you can develop a lateral curve in the neck, and that doesn't take so long to develop. So we have to be cautious with our posture.
Hey, I think although your marketing business is doing really well, I think if all else fails, you could just become a chiropractor. I think you've got it there waiting for you. So let's talk about
Tell you about
video. Let's talk about the magic word of video. Now, obviously, we know, unlike a chiropractor, which maybe for some people is a bit like magic, video is proven. It's real. It's proven to increase engagement.
yeah.
It's proven to, in any form that video is used, it can help educate, inform, inspire. It can make you laugh. It can make you cry. It can, reach you on that emotional level. So, how are you with what you do with your clients? Now, you said there's like maybe 500-600 practices across across the country. Now, everybody, I would say that most people in their industry, when they get to a
Yeah.
really good level, then do start considering, well, how can I get more clients, and how can I be putting my profile and my message out there as the expert in that field. Some people are just happy not to do that, and just, that's absolutely fine. But I think most business owners in their field strive to be the best. Yeah, I would say. So how do you, when you've got that many? I mean, you said 500-600 is a niche, but if you have everybody coming to you, how do you, how do you distinguish the USPs of each chiropractor, and
Awesome.
then how and then, remember, we've only got half an hour, and then how do you, after that, then start introducing video as a concept to them, that, well, video is going to help you with your profiling, maybe more so than any other digital marketing form, which is my view and opinion.
Well, you're hitting the nail on the head right there. Because those two steps there, they are like in the right order. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to distill that on point unique selling proposition or positioning statement. And this is all about finding your uniqueness, really. But apart from your uniqueness, you got to make sure that your competitors are not doing that, because otherwise it's not unique. You're not really, it's not really a USP. So
Mm,
USP always has to be in light of what your competitors are doing, because you have to be different from the people in your local market. Now, obviously, there is ways you can create that differentiation. So you could develop your own frameworks. You could, specialize in a certain area. You may be able
mm.
to upskill or maybe go into a specific direction, based on your skills and your preferences. And then really, it's about um, I suppose articulating the value you provide, and then taking that, so long form first, and then really distilling it down and saying, okay, if we have to summarize this in one sentence, what is the most important part here? And
Mm.
that's partly to do with your own perception. So what does the internal team, yourself, your team perceive to be the best in you, your clients, and then you also have to look at your market, your competitors. What do they,
Mm.
what is important to the market? What do people like, dislike from other clinics? And then really finding that gap in the market, and then matching that with your uniqueness, and basically seizing that position in the market. And then it's just
Is
about articulating it in a nice way that explains it, in a succinct enough way that people get it. Simple.
Yeah.
Keep it simple, but yeah,
So
be precise.
that would be the positioning statement, really, then,
That'll be
which,
the
a lot
positioning
of us in
statement.
business have
Usually
heard.
there
Yeah.
is different levels. So you have so people often get confused about it, but you have a top level that can be a one-liner.
Mm.
So obviously, if you take Marks and Spencers, for example, they got deep pockets, and they've spent 10 years to develop the positioning statement of, it's not just any whatever it is,
Yep.
it's Marks and Spencer. And that
Yeah.
can be food, clothing. As soon as people say that phrase, it's not just any, immediately M&S pops up, because they've just seized a space in our minds, where that phrase
So
is very to them. But that's obviously
it,
not applicable for chiropractors, because you don't have deep pockets like that when you're a chiropractor. It's very much, you have to wisely invest your money. So you would have a top level positioning statement, which would be, approximately one sentence. You may have a little strap line. It's more of a
mm,
compliment. Yeah, so it's something that alludes to the USP, but it's not the USP.
yeah.
You can then have an expanded version, which some people in certain instances may call like an elevator pitch, which is a slightly expanded version. And then you may even have a bridge version where it's even larger, where you go into, the step-by-step summarized version of what you do. So obviously it all depends on what your USP is relating to, but in certain cases you may need to expand it as well. So then what you do is you take that message, you make sure you weave it through all your marketing materials. So whatever you
Mm.
got, website, email, video, presentations, your sales pitches, and your call handling, etc. Everything has to have the USP integrated in it. That makes a huge difference because it sets you apart from your competition. It helps people differentiate you. So it helps people take action who wouldn't have taken action otherwise. It helps people choose you over other therapies, like the other alternative therapies we briefly discussed earlier. And obviously, it sets you apart from other chiropractors. So when somebody gets to the point where they're going to choose a chiropractor, if they're
Mm.
shopping around, you are setting yourself apart there. So that's why having a USP is a really good thing. And then the next
Yeah.
part from there is really finding content that is relevant to your audience. And then you just softly weave in your USP in there. So you may do a presentation and you may just briefly mention, by the way, we're known for this, this, and that. And this is just part of what we do for our clients. And you just sort of casually drop it in there. You don't make it a pitch fest where you're constantly pitching, that USP, but it's woven in there. It's always there, It's sort of the
Mm.
reason for your business, being in existence, if you like. And
Yeah.
and that sticks. And then people pick up on that uniqueness and they will start transmitting that to others. So you're, in a way, controlling at a much smaller budget, but you're controlling the message that goes out there to an extent. Obviously, you haven't got full control over it, but you can at least stack the deck in your favor.
In your
So
favour,
you
of
have a
course.
high probability that somebody will talk highly about you and use the USP when they do so.
Mm. I think
So
that's really, really great advice there. I think having that position and statement can set you apart. But I'm being devil's advocate here. So you've got
of course,
100 chiropractors. They've all done their positioning statement. They've all got their marketing materials. They've all got their branding. They've all got their website. So the next
yeah.
stage, then, because it is always looking at what your competitors are doing and how you can one up them, I guess. So for me, it makes sense then naturally to start including video in that mix. And I think
Oh,
you'll discuss it, but if you're using video in your business and a competitor of yours is using video but not very well, then personality on video can have a lot to play in that, with people knowing, liking, and trusting, etc. So how do you introduce video to your clients, and how are you careful not to what I find really interesting about what you do is you're not just helping businesses from many sectors, you're helping clients in the same industry. So is that not a bit conflict of interest?
it's a good question. Everybody is unique, and obviously, yes, there may be some overlap in things that they do, but it's important to learn to focus on the right thing that makes that particular business unique. And obviously, there's different styles of chiropractic, for example. So that's one of the things. You may have blended service, so somebody may do chiropractic and something else that they add into that particular. So they may do a bit of soft tissue work, or they may do trigger point release, or they may do dry needling. So you got people that do use like a blended mix, if you like, of therapies. So that's obviously quite easy then to differentiate them. But yeah, you're right. Obviously, I've not come across yet, obviously clients where they have exactly the same,
No, because the USP
it's
is different, isn't
same,
it?
but it could happen. It is possible. It could happen,
Mm.
obviously. Um, but then, yeah, you know, um,
The
so
USP though, isn't it? It comes back to the
yeah, it's a
if
USP. So
your
it
USP is
doesn't really
different
matter
from
unless we're in the same
yeah,
locality. So with
yeah,
chiropractic,
yeah.
it's a local business. So as long as within your local area you're standing out, then it doesn't really matter so much at a
Doesn't really
national level.
affect, of
Yeah, it doesn't
course.
really affect
Yeah,
it.
understood.
Video, I introduced it from the start, Jamie. So as
Good
soon
man.
as, yeah, because it's the quickest way of generating content. So if you're going to ask somebody to give you material for a blog post, I mean, you can probably wait till the cows come home, and they just, it won't happen because there's so many other things that get in the way. But if you, for example, with my clients, we have a meeting, we thrash out content. So I can generate ideas for content based on YouTube and Google searches and some other tools that
Yes,
I have
good.
available. Yeah,
Yep.
so I give them a list right away. That so there's no excuses. The point is to take away the excuses, obviously.
Yeah, of
And then
course.
we said, okay, let's do some videos on this. Which ones do you want to cover first? And initially, it's just about the first videos. I mean, they are like sometimes throwaway videos. So it's just to get them confident to start putting some content out there. Because the minute they do that, they get in the habit of putting things out there, then more content floods into your mind and you become
Yeah.
confident with that. That barrier is gone. And then you get to a position where it's no longer a barrier to do video. It's actually just another medium to transmit your thoughts that you have in your head, onto somebody else through video in this case.
Yes. Yeah.
So obviously it's very
Absolutely.
powerful because, yeah, as you say, it's really what you're doing is thought transmission, isn't it? So powerful ideas and connections you're transmitting to the other person's mind through the medium of video. So it is no doubt, the most powerful medium that is available right now for
Correct
marketing.
answer. You can stay. Yep. I was going to eject you off the episode, but you can stay for a bit longer. Yeah, no, it is really, really true, actually. And I think, I'm a huge advocate of like learning by doing. So
Yeah,
although there are some people that say, no, I learn by reading and writing, but I think in reality, it's all theory when it's on paper. When you're reading it, and if you read everything there is to know about being good on camera,
yeah,
how to work your phone as a camera, if you read every book ever written about performing on camera and being on camera, you can read it, but then put a camera in front of you. You cannot put all of that into practice immediately. It's going to take a series of videos and content to get. So the more you do it, and the same with anything, but the more you do it and the more you learn it and you hone it and you get feedback and you keep that, that loop kind of going and going. That's how
yeah.
you get better and better. Some people have a natural ability and affinity towards being on camera, which is
Definitely,
fantastic, but it still takes a certain amount of just repetition and doing it to be able to be comfortable with it. So I imagine that a lot of your clients, you probably get some that are very, very fearful and shy and go, oh my, I can't think of anything worse than being on camera. And I imagine you get a few that are really like, yep, done this before. And does that kind of move with how, I guess, high profile they are? Do you get more higher profile chiropractic
Good
people,
question. I mean, not necessarily. I think that regardless of the profile, actually, people can be apprehensive about doing video,
Mm,
regardless of where they are. Sometimes when they're high
yeah,
profile, they're more apprehensive because what are the other chiropractors going to think? Am I going to fall? Am I going to, am I setting myself up to fall?
yeah,
So there is a
yeah,
level of apprehension always. The chiropractic industry is a little bit regulated. There is a little bit of the, how can you put it? Yeah, apprehension of what others are going to say about me, my colleagues, peer pressure, if you like, in that sense. I mean, usually, you know, I've had people that are, to the point of almost trembling when they're doing the video,
yeah,
and
yeah,
people
yeah,
that are really, really confident from the outset. And in reality, what I would say to a chiropractor is you're always doing public speaking, but you just don't realize it because you're talking to clients all the time. So all you need to do really is get into that mindset that you're talking one to one. So don't talk to the camera. Don't think you're talking to an audience. You're talking to
yes,
me. Just talk to
yeah.
me. That's all you need to do. I'm
It's
your
a
client.
great,
Talk
great rule. Yeah,
and tell me what you need to say directly. Direct it at me. So explain it to me. So really connect with me. And that's sort of the rule I have with video. Obviously, initially it takes a few takes.
mm,
Usually, the first few ones I don't do endless takes because that would take sometimes 10 takes to get the first one right. What I tend to do is do a couple. Then it's okay. Let's move on, and then I come back to that first one
yeah, yeah,
right at the end
yeah.
once they got their confidence
Good.
back. That boosts their confidence. They're like, "Great, I'm
Yeah,
doing really well. I'm producing all this content." And look, next time they'll get better at it. And that's just how it is. It's like anything. Obviously, you've already done a number of podcasts, you call them.
mm,
And, each time you get better at it. You're very natural, very confident. But obviously, when you do your first one, everybody is a little bit apprehensive.
yeah,
Anything you do for the first time, it's normal. But I say do it anyway. Because even the ones where you're trembling and you're, a little bit insecure, that doesn't mean that they don't have value in them because
no,
people may
absolutely
do
not.
that. Some people
Yeah,
may connect with them. They see themselves in you, and they like, great. This is great content. I see this as a humble guy. I connect with that person. He's a little bit like me, a little bit shy, a little bit introvert. So, there's no right or wrong rule, but obviously you do boost your confidence the more you do them. And that's
Yeah.
just because, you get better at it, like anything, obviously, like riding a
Yeah,
bike or, doing any skill.
absolutely. So I know that you're getting better at video, Giorgio, because I hear in the pipeline you've got a mammoth video course coming soon. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that. You don't have to tell us what it is if you don't want, but I know from our conversations previous that you have, I don't know, what can I say a number? Can I say what? Yeah, like you
Yeah,
said, in
sure.
the region of like 200, 150,
Yeah.
200 odd videos, like broken up in series. That's a lot, man. So I mean, you've got a lot of things to say, and so what can you talk about that course
Oh,
or this thing that you're
sure.
putting together?
Well, I think, as you alluded to earlier, I think one of the things to learn is you got to teach. So there's no good keeping everything you know for yourself, because you tend to lose it. So you got to use it. Obviously, that in my case, that is applying it to to the marketing, digital marketing campaigns of my clients. But also, you got to use what you learn. And one great way of doing that is by doing videos and sharing what you've learned with others. So any video I do them for myself in the first place. I'm kind of, bringing out the knowledge that I have and standardizing that so that I know what I know, if you know what I mean. And also to as a feedback loop, so I can see, how I'm presenting, what I'm doing, how I'm saying it, if I need to add things, if I need to learn more in certain areas or not. But yes, because I have the signature solution already built, and I've done training courses remotely, and a lot of the time what you're doing is you're covering the same ground with different people. And it makes sense to standardize some of that training. So how to field certain calls, how to do certain type of campaigns and activities. It makes sense to just standardize it into video series. And then that can be delivered as a value add for my clients. That's my initial
Mm.
thought. Now, maybe that grows into something more. It could become an online course in time. But initially, I'm just looking to use it within my existing business, within my existing clients, as an additional way to leverage my time. So
Yes,
rather than having to
absolutely.
schedule a call, I can say, "Hey, here's the link. Make sure you watch it," and I will be checking that you watched it. So within the next 5 days, make sure you've covered it and you've applied the knowledge. If you have any
Yeah,
questions,
some
come back.
a bit of accountability there as well, which is
Yeah, because
nice.
it's difficult to get 5 or 6 people within a team all on one call at the same time. I mean, that's quite
Yeah.
tough. If you can do a video, just post it. Look, guys, watch the video. Any questions, come back to me. Done.
Fantastic, fantastic. So that kind of leads on to, I think, a little bit of something that we spoke about on our pre-episode call that you mentioned about using video as a training tool. Now, I'm a huge advocate of video to be used, internally as a training, which can reduce your man hours needing to physically be with somebody, in terms of talking them through certain things, or frequently asked questions, Q&As, that sort of thing. So
Yeah.
so what you're saying is that you're putting this content together to kind of engage and train your clients a little bit in the ways that you work, in the way that you operate and run your marketing business.
Both. So it can be used in that way. So sometimes for feedback and just talking over things. It is important with marketing that you educate your clients to an extent, because obviously you got to manage the expectations. So if we're talking SEO, it's no way I can do improve the SEO of a client without giving them some education about SEO, so that I can manage
Yes.
their expectation and actually keep them on the same page, so they understand what's happening with their rankings.
Mm,
What is
yeah.
being done in the background. So they can value it and they can have a realistic expectation of the results they're achieving. And obviously getting to focus on what's important. But on the other side as well, with clients, one thing that we do is create videos for internally for their staff. So
Mm,
for a clinic, well, in a clinic, you're going to have some staff turnover. That's inevitable, because people move on. So if you have chiropractors, they're going to go on and do their own thing and open up their own clinics. If you have staff, they're probably going to turn over. Some go to back to uni, or they get another job, or whatever happens, in life. And obviously, it's very easy then for the standard to drop. The next person that comes, they don't know about your USP, they don't really know about all the best practices. So documenting all those best practices, procedures, and processes into video format is very powerful. And it gives
Mm,
you a training library that traditionally would only be available to large companies, because they would typically have probably half of the time of the HR person dedicated to doing that, because
yeah,
it is time consuming, creating
yeah,
manuals and
that's right.
just shortcuts that process by light years, slightly exaggerated, but you know what I mean. In terms of creating real
Many years
doc-
though, many years.
yeah, just keep it really simple, and
Yeah,
also, if you do create a document, rather than having loads of comments in the document, just do a video, just do a screen share and walk through that document so that people know what it's for and it's done. And that's much more powerful than creating a document about the document and then a whole manual. It's just very time consuming. It takes days to do. Whilst if you do it in video, that's maybe an hour of someone's time. You got it done,
yeah,
and it's there to be used, for as long as the clinic
absolutely.
stands.
I guess
And the
for
other thing, yeah,
sorry, I was
no,
just going
go
to say, I think for accessibility purposes, and this goes hand in hand with the written feedback response, I suppose, to a project, is
ahead.
accessibility for hard of hearing, visually impaired. So a video really would need a feedback video. Really, I guess should have subtitles really, and then you can accompany that video with maybe a written transcription so that you're able to
Yeah, exactly.
offer to everybody, rather than just some people like to take information differently, but people that can only take information in a certain way, it's good to have all those bases covered as well, particularly with subtitles, which can be a bit of a ball ache if you're doing them yourself, but if it's a shortish video, it's not too bad.
That's doable. It's a good point. Yes, of course. And this is the beauty with video again, that as a powerful tool for creating authoritative content, if you do a great video, you can repurpose that video by doing the transcript. So that's a blog post straight away. You can then extract portions from there to make them into posts. Yeah. So you can repurpose that content or portions of that content.
Yes,
If it
yes,
is a
yes, yes.
manual, obviously, again, you just transcribe it and you got it there. So yes, subtitles, I mean, very easy to do. You're absolutely right. You got to do them. And the reason is, if you're using videos, my recommendation is usually to do them on YouTube, because it's the leading platform. It is also owned by Google, so it improves your rankings.
It
And if
does.
you do a good video, it can appear on Google on the first page, and you can potentially keep that position for years to come if you do a good enough job,
Yeah,
which is
yeah,
incredibly powerful in terms of the amount of traffic that's going to generate organically for your website.
absolutely.
And then you can just post that link there. So in YouTube, you can do your subtitles quite easily. There is an automated function that does it if it's in the same language. So if you set it to English, it will auto-generate them. You can then just edit those slightly where needed, or you can just
That's right.
outsource them. I remember you shared a very good website with me, which is called Script. Was it Script? Script. Script.com.
The subtitling company,
Subtitling service.
the rev.com.
Sorry, Rev. I don't know why I thought
Yes.
Script.
Yeah,
Rev.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, Rev is
And
is fantastic. Yeah, huge advocate of Rev.
very good.
Brilliant.
And if not, obviously, I'm sure you can find somebody on other outsourcing platforms to do it. Or if you have someone
Yeah,
internally, it's a no-brainer. It's easy to do. Because a lot of
absolutely.
people on social media, what they do is they put their phone by default on mute for videos. So a lot of videos, 70% or so, if the statistic is correct, appears on mute. So obviously, if you have the subtitles and you have a nice hook at the beginning, or a good opening line, or a question, or a statement, or a fact, or a statistic, or you just explain what you're going to talk about right at the outset, then people are probably going to continue watching that and maybe switch on the audio. If you don't have
That's
subtitles,
right.
then you're probably just going to pass. you know.
I don't think there's a video producer in you yet, Giorgio, as well as a chiropractor and a marketer. So I think you're sorted to retirement, mate. I think you've got a few different avenues there.
Well, you have to
It's
learn.
so
It's very competitive now, isn't it? You have to
we got to
become
be
good at
fluid,
it.
right? Yeah,
Yeah. Well, there's no good being mediocre about it, I think, because some of these, particularly very young people now, they put out really high quality video productions because they are the video generation, if you like. So we have to, we have to keep up with that. And
Yeah.
yeah, people do expect, especially as they now watch video on TV, for example, YouTube is watched on TV. It's one of their fastest growing channels. And you have to keep up with that. So you have to consider that somebody might actually watch that in the living room. Yeah, it doesn't have to be, a Hollywood production, but you can take some steps, some simple steps to make sure it looks the part. Have a good microphone, use a good camera,
Yeah.
be mindful of the lighting so you don't overexpose or, have a very strong backlight. Just make sure, that you maybe use a little lapel microphone to get good sound. Do a slight edit, maybe have a little intro, some third, what do you call those things? The
Lower
the
thirds. Yep.
lower thirds, so that your name is and title, or the person who is presenting is appearing. It just a little logo somewhere, maybe a watermark. These are just little touches that will give it that extra, special treatment that will make it look much more professional, and it does set you apart. Aside from
Yeah.
obviously, promoting your brand with each video as well.
Well, it sounds like your clients obviously have a very rich fountain of knowledge with you as their marketing coach and business growth coach, which is fantastic. Although you're not a video producer by trade, you clearly have the knowledge and like right attitude towards video to help them produce the best content that they can, particularly if they're doing it themselves. So I want to talk briefly about a term that you use, and I don't know if this is specific to you or if other people use this term, but talk me a little bit about what authority hacking is. So, this whole episode is about things that you can do and
Of course.
ways to improve your online and in-person profile to position yourself as an expert. So
Yeah.
what does authority hacking, does that mean you can cheat your way to the top? Does it mean you
Well,
can bypass a few things? How is it I mean, I'm assuming it's ethical. What is it and how does it work?
well, that's again, you're always good at hitting the nail on the head. I like that, Johnny. Straight to what matters. Obviously, it's not authority hacks. They're not silver bullets. So, it would be unethical to position yourself as an authority if you're not an authority. If that makes sense. So, if
Yeah,
you're
yeah, of
not an
course.
expert at
Yeah.
something, it would be unethical to try and position yourself as an expert at something. And maybe an example of that is in the internet marketing industry, for example. You get some people that will maybe digest a few courses and then create a course based on the content of the courses they just done, and then pretend that they are an expert at what they're teaching, but they haven't actually
Yes.
implemented the stuff that they're teaching.
Yes.
Okay, so that's
Yeah.
obviously an unethical example, so you should never do that. However, when you're starting out or when you're an existing professional, you might be looking for ways on how can I increase my level of authority ethically. And is there ways to fast track this? And yes, there are ways of fast tracking. Now, very briefly, so people understand, they have the right framework around this. What is an authority? So there's a few definitions from Google. Authority is obviously the power to influence others, especially because of one's commanding manner or one's recognized knowledge about something. So here we talk about posture, presence, the way of presenting, and obviously the knowledge. Also, a person with extensive or specialized knowledge about a subject or an expert, a reliable source of information or evidence. Okay, so kind of a brief framework. Now, I've identified 10 areas and I'll briefly run through them. I'll rattle through them. So the first way you can hack authority is by associating with other experts.
Mhm.
So you can interview experts, you
Makes
can
sense.
do shared
Yep.
podcasts, you can do webinars or seminars or workshops together. You can invite them. So maybe you're the person that organizes that event and invites that person you'll host. These are all ways to hack authority by associating with an expert. The other way, which is obviously, again, there's always work involved. So there's no no real shortcuts, but these will drastically cut down the amount of time you need. Okay, and that's important. You can scale up. So I say if you read the 10 top books, the most seminal books of the most preeminent people within your field, you're going to set yourself apart from the rest.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because leaders are readers, so that's important.
Nice.
Obviously, if you use video for that, because that video presentation, this is going to accelerate vastly, because now what you're doing, you're absorbing the knowledge, the information, connections, language patterns, presentation patterns. I mean, this is very powerful. So that 10,000 hours you need to become an expert is shortened down to much less, from maybe 100 to a few hundred hours of time.
Mm.
So it's a huge, cut down of time investment that you need to achieve the same position. Okay, develop an on-point USP. We've talked about this before. Have a strong positioning statement. This is absolutely key. So a lot of chiropractors ask me, do you need a USP to be successful chiropractor? Well, you don't necessarily need one. You can be successful at chiropractic without having a USP. But if you do
Many
have a
companies
USP, most companies are. About 70% of the UK businesses don't have a USP or a positioning statement. However, if you do have one and you develop one, you are going to see an additional return in investment. And you're going to see higher conversions, you're going to see a higher intake of new leads. So overall, the business growth is going to be faster, it's going to be more steady. You're going to have to strain less to achieve the same results or better. Okay, and then we spoke about this earlier. Make sure it's woven through all your materials, particularly in the videos. Always drop the USP in there somewhere. Now, the other one is about hacking the structures and the models from the best, leading authorities out there. So in other words, don't try and reinvent the wheel. Don't try to be super original initially.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's already people that have done this. Yeah. So go to the top experts. Russell Brunson, Tony Robbins. Go through some of the courses already provided by Google and YouTube. So you got YouTube's own ABCD: attract, brand, connect, and direct. That's a structure. If you understand that structure, you can create a video around that. It will shortcut the time you need to do the video because you have a structure to work with. You can
Gone with
use
your own personality, your own brand, your own voice. You're basically taking that proven strategy and injecting your own thoughts, opinions, feelings, emotions, personality onto it, which I think is, I think you're definitely right. Nobody needs to be an Einstein. You don't need to be creating new stuff. Really, you can take existing concepts and just rework them into your own voice.
Bingo. The other one is who, what, why, and how. That's the Tony Robbins and Russell Brunson use that one. And again, these are presentation models that can be easily implemented, and that will give you an edge. Again, straight away, because people say they can see that you know your stuff, you know how to present well, and all you've done is taken something that exists and repurposed it.
Yeah.
Now, number 5 is you can outrank your competition. So obviously, if you're a local business like a chiropractor, I mean, there are some national chiropractors, but ultimately your clinics rank locally. So if you can create YouTube videos and outrank your competition, and that's not too difficult because you can do, you can investigate the meta tags, the likes and shares and engagements, and the structure of the video, the titles, and then you can do something that outranks that just does something better than what they've done previously and outrank them. Number 6 is obvious: be an author. So write your own book, create your guides, reports, online courses, do public speaking, do workshops, do presentations, and record them. So again, being an author, can come in many guises. Video, again, is the fastest one to do. So if you want to very quickly become an author, I would say set up a workshop, record it, and record the whole day or whatever it is, a couple hours you're doing it. You got a huge amount of content right there. You can then cut out the snippets, start using it. So that's like a huge fast track launchpad for you. I would say let others elevate and praise you, because that gives you much higher perceived authority. So don't blow your own trumpet, let others do it. So be strong on video testimonials. Again, that's the most powerful way you have,
I agree.
Focus on reviews. So online reviews are important, especially for local rankings and for high conversions. So people trust online reviews as much almost as a recommendation from a friend. So it is really important. and just make it a habit of soliciting them. Make it, there's nothing strange about it. Just solicit them and seize whenever somebody praises you or has something good to say. Just, hey, pull out your camera. You like pull out your phone. Would you mind if we do a quick video testimonial about this? I would love
Yeah,
to
yeah,
help
yeah,
other,
yeah.
experience what you've experienced. Can you please help me reach more people? And people are, if you're not
Absolutely.
asked nicely, people are happy to help you because you're asking for help. You're not imposing. You're asking for help. People like to help.
Yeah, absolutely.
The number 8 is outshine your competition. So how do you do that? Well, you can have better qualifications, better affiliations, maybe some badges. The trust badges of associations, affiliations, and
Certifications. Yeah.
yeah. Have mentions. So this can be through PR, or it can be media, social media mentions, or influencers. Do appearances as featured on. So this is something we do with the PRs we do for public relations or press releases we do for chiropractors. They appear on many high authority sites and news sites, and that allows you to say, "I've been featured on these news
Yeah.
sites."
Yeah.
Obviously, it has to be done in the right way. Again, you want to always integrate your USP. You want to make sure that it's adding value, basically. Number 9 would be to borrow authority. So, how can you borrow authority? Well, use celebrity endorsements, or maybe even offer to do treatment for free, or whatever you need to do as your bargaining chip. Use influencers, so social media influencers. They can be Instagram, or people that are big have maybe a Facebook group,
Mm.
etc. So do something with them. Maybe co-author, with those people. So be prepared to co-author. So you have, for example, Michael Gerber from the E-Myth, and
Yes.
he's co-authored books about chiropractic clinic, how to grow your chiropractic clinic with somebody in the chiropractic industry. So obviously, by inference, that person now is positioned as the authority on building a chiropractic clinic because he's co-authored with this authority.
Absolutely. Mm.
And I think number 10 would be to know your statistics. And a lot of chiropractors don't do this. They don't really know
A
the
lot of people
numbers.
don't. A lot of business owners don't keep an eye on
Not
their
business
stats at
owners,
all.
though.
Mm.
So, and I don't mean, I know you're thinking right now, you're thinking the key KPIs, all the numbers like how many sales and this. That is important as well. And there is a place to put that on the website in your about page. You can have a few metrics like how many clients you've treated successfully, how many years in business, how many adjustments total, what is your success rate. There's a place for that. Well, what I'm thinking more about is success rates here. So if you were to split down your success rate in treating different conditions like sciatica, back pain, whiplash, neck pain, whatever it is, or post-surgery, if you were to quantify that and arrive at statistics, you can prove if you're above, well, obviously you want to focus on the ones where you're above the industry average, which is around about 80% success rate. Which is normal. Obviously, even in the medical industry, there's no perfect success rate. There's obviously even, in
Of
fact, a
course.
lower success rate than that. So it was if you can prove that you're above that, then that's very powerful. You can say, look, according to our internal surveys and statistical measurements, we can see that we are hitting 92% or maybe 89%, which is way above the industry average. So that proves obviously you're better than others.
Yeah.
So those are the 10 authority hacks that I had to share. So these are things you can use. You can pick and choose whichever one resonates best with you. But using any or all of those obviously will greatly increase your level of authority and help you greatly towards becoming that obvious local choice in your marketplace, which ultimately is what good positioning and expert positioning will do for you.
Yeah, absolutely. And some of those points do directly relate to the amount of time that you've been doing your job or your role. So your authority hacks there are very relevant for any industry, any business owner that's looking to increase sales or increase awareness or become that expert in their field. Your authority hacks can help with that. But some of them, you're right. If you're new to the game and you're trying to build that credibility, ripping somebody else's content and just regurgitating it in your own voice is not the same, because you don't have that statistics to back it up. You don't have the
Yeah.
experience for other respected, known people to recommend you and credit you. That takes time to develop those kind of relationships, for people to do that, to trust you and know that people don't recommend you for a reciprocated sale or money, but they do it because they like you and know you, and understand ultimately you're going to do a good job. So that
Yeah.
takes time.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to
And
offer that on
people
a plate
sometimes
for,
fail
for
with
free.
this. If you're trying to be somebody you're not, I always recommend against that. Don't just focus on what you're good at. Just, you don't need to know everything. And if you come out of uni, you graduated, you're freshly out of uni, you're a chiropractor who's just starting out. Look, you're not going to remember everything that you learned at uni, and that's just a fact. But look at it as your black belt. You're now a black belt. Now you need to get your first done, your second done. So you need to keep learning. You need to keep developing, and just start with what you do know. So start talking
Mm.
about the things that you learned whilst you were graduating, those stories, those lectures. Just recapture some of the magic and the discoveries you made during those lectures, and they can be very powerful because they're very close to your heart. And that's a good way to connect. And then as you develop the experience, you can then talk about that. You can talk about, obviously, as you develop personal successes, then you can talk about those. You can talk about stories of somebody that came to you, and in what shape they were, and the journey they went through and how it impacted their life and where they are now.
Mm.
But obviously, as you say, some of that you develop, but it doesn't mean you can't start where you are right now. So anyone really, now stepping outside of chiropractic for a second there, for anybody listening and thinking, well, in general, you can start where you are. You have a personal story to tell. There may be things in your life that are unique to you. So everybody's had unique experiences, and
Yeah, I believe
sometimes
that. Yeah,
start with those. You can start with those,
it's
and
very
start
cool, mate.
making
It's very cool.
those and build upon it.
I think you've been so free with your knowledge and your time today. We've only got about a minute left. We've gone way over half an hour, but I don't care, to be honest, because it's been great fun. You've been really, really open and free with your knowledge. The authority hacks, I think, have immense value just on their own. If people wrote them down and understood them and looked at them. So very, very quickly, in 30 seconds, from your point of view, where are you headed? Where what have you got coming up? Is there anything in particular that you're doing or working on that you want to share with your audience?
Well, I'm working a little bit on my own business at the moment, so it's developing my own social platforms, and really, that's just for my personal, benefit, if you like. So, if you like, doing what I do for my clients more for myself, because due to time constraints, that is a challenge.
Mm,
Thankfully, with the lockdown, there's been a little bit more time because there's been less physical interaction, so
of
everything has
course.
been done
Yeah.
remotely, which is a big time saver, obviously. And really focusing in a lot about the video adverts. So video adverts, they're a very powerful way of bringing in new leads, and they're very cost effective way, because if done correctly, it can they can wash their hands, in the sense that whatever you put in is what you get out. So kind of your
Absolutely. Yeah.
client acquisition is almost free. Obviously you have to put in the time, so you put in sweat equity, but the cost is covered, so it's not an out of
Yeah.
pocket expense. You get the money back at the other end, and that's kind of where my focus is. And then really integrating video. It's all as you know, it's all about video. So it's integrating those videos in the funnels, in the sales funnels, and just really taking video integration to the next level, because that's where everything is going. So.
Yeah. Well, as
Mhm.
you know, as I've said before, whenever you're ready to publish those, if you need or want any feedback on the content you're making before it's published, then I would gladly give my time. You've come on today and been very, very generous with your knowledge and your insights. So it's the least I can do for you in return. So yeah, thank you so much, mate. Listen, Giorgio, it's been awesome. I've loved it again. Obviously, we actually
Thank
did
you
our
for
own.
having me.
I came on your authority marketing video
Yes.
series a couple of months ago now, which is over on your YouTube channel, which we'll
Yeah.
put a link up at the end so people can go and check that out if they, if they so desire. But listen, thank you for your time. Thank you for being so generous with your content. Let's stay in touch, and yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing your mammoth video library hit the web soon.
Thank you. Well, have a lovely rest of the week, and thank you so much for having me. All the best. Thank you.
Yeah, no worries. Thanks, Giorgio. So there you have it, guys. That was Authority Marketing 101 with Giorgio Silberberg from F9 Marketing. Unusual niche of chiropractic industry, but I'm sure you'll agree that nearly everything Giorgio was saying there, although is directly related to his experience with the chiropractic industry, really does lend itself to any business. You don't have to do much to read between the lines and see that if you pull apart some of these nuggets and apply them in your own business, actually there, and in terms of using the video as well, there is no reason that your position, your profile, your online profile, your sales and a general brand awareness is definitely going to be increased by doing some of those things. So fantastic episode, probably one of the most information rich episodes that we've had. So massive thanks to Giorgio. If you've really enjoyed today, please do consider subscribing to the channel. We go live every Wednesday at 10. Big thank you to Martin in the background, who produces these shows basically remotely from his studio over in Northamptonshire. So I've known Martin a long time. He does a fantastic job, is a live stream expert. Maybe one day we'll get him on. I'm really trying to get him to show his face. Maybe now I've publicly called him out, maybe we can talk turkey. But thank you for watching today. Catch you next Wednesday at 10 o'clock in the morning, 10 a.m. Yeah, have a great rest of your day. Please do subscribe, comment, share it around. I hope you found it really interesting. Any questions, you know where I am, and specifically, you know where Giorgio is, or you will do in a few seconds. Cheers.